What's up? What's up? What's up, Facebook fam? It is Tuesday, and you guys know what goes down here on Tuesday. Wife Chat goes down here on Tuesday, and I am so excited that we are here live. I am so excited that you're joining me. And tonight we're going to be talking about an amazing topic, painful sex. So do me a favor. As you join, make sure that you're hitting the share button and letting all my one sexy wives know that Wife Chat is going down here on Facebook. And you know I absolutely love when you guys join me. So do me a favor, keep hitting the share button again and let all my one sexy wives know that Wife Chat is going down here tonight. Thank you so much for joining me. Make sure that you're hitting the share button. Thank you. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I truly appreciate you for joining me here on Wife Chat. Um, Thank you guys so much for joining me. Make sure that you're hitting the share button, letting all my one sexy wife know that White Chat is going down here on Facebook, and I'm so excited about it. You don't understand how excited I am. Um, on Saturday, I just want to tell you guys, thank you so much for joining me on my virtual conference, my second virtual conference called Becoming the One Sexy Wife. It was amazing. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Make sure that you're hitting the share button and letting all my 160 wives know that Wife Chat is going down here on Facebook. Yes, 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 yes. And again, today, our topic for today. Hello, everybody. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. This chat actually comes from a wife all the way in Arkansas. So my pleasure of you joining me tonight. This is going to wrap up. It's going to be two parts because when she actually sent me the question about painful sex, I did not know if she wanted me to address the physical side of it or the mental side of it. And so today I'm going to tackle the physical, and then next week I'm going to tackle the mental, because sometimes sex as a wife can be painful for a wife mentally if we have not healed some things that have happened in the marriage. So today I'm going to tackle the physical side of it. You guys, thank you guys so much for joining me. Hello, Deidre. I'll be hopping on after I get done to join your virtual conference that you have going on, your teleconference. So for all you wives that are on here, Minister Deidre has a conference that's going on all week, and I will be closing it out on Saturday. So make sure you join us. She'll be, if you look on my page or whatever, but she'll be posting the information. Hey, Kiana, how are you, sweetie patiti? Hello, Latrice. Hello, everybody. Thank you guys so much for hopping on here. I truly appreciate you guys. Again, we're going to be talking about pain when it comes to sex, and I'm going to work on the physical, like I said, this time, and then we're going to work on the mental next week. Hello, Joe. Hi, everybody. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I truly appreciate you. I really, really do appreciate you guys for joining me. And so, again, this comes from my wife all the way in Arkansas, and in her question, I did not know if she wanted me to address the physical or the mental, because sometimes, like I said, as a wife, if we have unresolved issue, it can be very painful relinquishing or enjoying pleasure with our spouses, especially if there's things going on with us mentally. But today I'm going to talk about the physical part of it. Let me just give you some precursors before I get into this. I am a sexologist. I went to school for this. I've been doing this work for a long time, but I am not a PhD doctor. I am not a gynecologist, so I want to make sure that I'm very, very clear about that. But I am able to address these things when it comes to sex and the basic things. But my biggest thing is whenever I'm dealing with a wife that is dealing with some challenges when it comes to sex and painful stuff or whatever, my suggestion is always go see your GYN. She's the best, or he or she is the best equipped to deal with a lot of your physical things that are going on. But I want to address some reasons why sex can be painful, and then I'm going to give you some solutions that you could try at home before you go to your doctor if you choose not to go to your doctor. But I'm asking you and letting you know the best course of action is going to see your GYN. That's the best course of action, right? Because they can help you in so many different ways. But I'm going to give you some general information because, again, I am qualified to tackle a lot of these different issues, but I am not a doctor. I'm not a medical doctor. I just want to put it out there because I don't want y'all telling nobody. Gail said for me to do this, I'm not going to my doctor. No, ma'am. Don't put that on me. Okay, so there's a lot of reasons and a couple of reasons for reason why sex can be painful. The first thing is that you can have a vaginal infection, right? And this can include a yeast infection that is not treated. So that's the first thing, that you can have some type of infection going on in your vagina. So that can cause sex to be painful. The second thing is that you can have an opening in your cervix, a problem with your cervix, right? And that's the opening that is in your uterus. And sometimes you can have it could be nicked or something when there's maximum penetration going on with that. If it's a lot of penetration, it could be some nicks, it could be some stuff like that. And you can also have some type of infection going on in your cervix. So again, a lot of times, a lot of pain comes from different types of infections. So you can have some vaginal infections like yeast infections. There could be some problems going on with your cervix, especially if you're having really rough sex, and it could be a nick, or it could just be very, very irritated down there, and that can open you up for infection. Okay, there also could be problems in the uterus, which could be fibroids. It could also cause a lot of pain during intercourse, especially if your spouse's penis is longer than normal. If he is hitting up against a fibroid, and sometimes fibroids can be as large as a fetus in your uterus. So that can be very, very painful. And sometimes a lot of women don't know that they actually have fibroids. But a lot of times when you have if you have a large fibroid, it feels like you are always bloated. It feels like your stomach is always distended. It's because you might have a fibroid. Okay. Sometimes people just think it's gas or whatever, but if your stomach always feels very bloated or very heavy down there, and you feel a lot of pressure, you could have a fibroid in that area. Okay. Endometriosis is another thing that could cause that condition, and that's when the tissue and the lining of the uterus grows outside of the uterus. Okay, that's when basically the lining of the uterus is starting to protrude outside of the uterus, and that can be very, very painful because it's basically like the lining is tearing from the walls. So anytime that your spouse is entering you with his penis and you have that tearing situation going on, that could be very, very, very painful as well. And there's a lot of treatments that your doctor can do for endometriosis, and that could be like lasers and all kind of different things. That's the reason why I said whenever you're experiencing a lot of pain when it comes to intercourse, you need to go see your doctor. That it could be so many different things. I'm just going over a couple of things, and then I'm going to try to give you some solutions that you can try before you actually go to your doctor. But I'm stressing, if you're having like very painful intercourse, these are some of the reasons why. The next thing could be problems with your ovaries. It could be cysts on your ovaries that as you have your cycle, they could be filling up with fluid or blood, and then when they burst, they're very, very painful, and it could be associated around when you're having intercourse. It could be so many different things. Again, like I said, I'm just giving you some general things. The other things can be pelvic inflammatory, which is a disease where the tissue has become badly inflamed. It's like really having a real inflamed uterus. And anytime, of course, you're having something enter in there and your uterus is inflamed, it's going to be very, very painful. And again, I'm addressing this because she just said I have very painful sex, right? I don't know if it's a mental thing or it's a physical thing. So again, this is going to be a two-part answer. I'm going to take care of the physical today, and then we'll work on the mental next week. Is that okay with you guys? The other thing is can be a ectopic pregnancy. You could be pregnant and not know it, because with a ectopic pregnancy you will still be having a cycle, but that's when your egg has been fertilized still in the fallopian tube, and the baby has began to grow. So that could be very, very painful as well. It could be menopause, right? If you are in, menopause can start as early as age 38, and it could be as late as 55. It just depends. But if you're menopausal or premenopausal, that can also cause you some pain, because you're probably experiencing some vaginal dryness and stuff like that. The other thing is if you have intercourse too quickly after a surgery in your vagina in that area, or if you have intercourse right after having childbirth. Some people go right back to having intercourse, and they don't wait the 6 to 8 weeks that your doctor recommends. And if you have done that, you have not allowed your body to heal properly. And even if your child is older, some of the things that we do in our youth can affect us as we age. So if you went right after having a baby and didn't allow your body to heal, didn't allow your uterus to go back to normal and all of those kind of things, you could be paying for it now. The other thing is sexually transmitted diseases that are undiagnosed. Sometimes, just because we're married does not mean that you can't come in contact with a sexually transmitted disease, especially if infidelity has happened and protection was not used, right? And again, it is very, very, and I always tell my clients, you can recover after infidelity. There is life after infidelity, but there are some things that you need to put into place as well. Getting a blood test to check for STDs and those kind of things. And some people don't want to address those things, but you want to make sure that when you go back into, having regular sex with your spouse after infidelity, that you are safe and he is too. Okay, so you want to make sure that if that could be a possibility. So again, when you go see your physician, you make sure that they check you for any sexually transmitted diseases. Of course, they're going to give you some, just a little blood work that needs to be done, and then they're going to give you a pelvic exam and all those different kind of things to rule out any of the things that I'm talking about. And also if there's been any injury to the vulva or the vagina, right? And these injuries could be tears when it came to childbirth. It could be if you had to receive an episiotomy when, to compensate for that baby's big old head coming out of you, which I had to do, telling y'all my business. But all of these kind of things could happen and could cause you pain when it comes to intercourse. Even if your children are older and you had a tear, or you had to have an episiotomy, when they cut you or whatever, if it did not heal properly, it could be scar tissue there. It could be so many different things that can cause you to be uncomfortable in that area. Okay. Let me give you some things that you can try at home. One of the first things that you can do is try to change sex positions, right? So if you are already in the missionary position and your husband is entering you and that's painful, you might want to try doing it on your side. You might want to try standing up. You might try to be on top. Whatever, try different sex positions in order to make sure that you find one that's most comfortable for you. Okay, and this is something that you need to communicate with your husband. Hey, this is uncomfortable for me. I've been feeling uncomfortable, and most men want to make sure that you're comfortable and that you're pleased, so they're going to be willing to try different things along with you in order for you to feel comfortable. Okay, so the first thing is try some new sex positions and ones that are comfortable to you. If you have a weak pelvic floor, you can do some Kegel exercises. You can also try some a position pillow, because I have a very, very weak core. I've had 5 abdominal surgeries. I use a position pillow a lot in order to take some of the pressure off of me, and also to be able to tilt my uterus in different ways to receive pleasure. So getting a position pillow, and you can find them in, online, Amazon, or whatever. But I suggest if you have a weak core or something like that, or you have a hard time holding a certain position, once you find one that's good, a position pillow is really, really good. Okay. The second thing is use a lubricant. And I tell women all the time, it's nothing wrong with using lubricants. I don't care if you're young or old, using lubricants are really, really good. And my thing is for you to find one, and I'm not saying that over-the-counter lubricants are bad or anything like that. There are some really good ones. I recommend Squid is a really good one. I've put out a lot of resources to a lot of people, in my classes and stuff like that. But again, if you Keep Your Legs Open, my book on Amazon, you can go to Amazon, Keep Your Legs Open, A Wife's Guide to Understanding Sexual Satisfaction. I go over all kind of different lubricants and what they're really good for, and I even give you some good brands. But so a water-based lubricant is probably the best because it's the one that's most closest to what our bodies actually make. If you go with a silicone-based one, actually it works really well if you're going to do water play and stuff like that. But it is, like I said, it's a little bit thicker, and you can have a reaction to a silicone-based lubricant, but it is good if you're going to have intercourse and stuff in water. But I always suggest if you start with a water-based lubricant, again, that works really, really well. If you're going to be engaging with a sex toy or anything like that, you just want to make sure that you use a thicker lubricant. Okay. Also, make time for sex. And the reason why I say make time for sex, because sometimes when we're in a rush and we're trying to do a quickie or something, and there's nothing wrong with a quickie, but you need to make time to make sure that your body naturally, if it's going to lubricate itself, that you're able to do that, and that you're introducing a lot more foreplay. That helps with a lot to cut down on the micro tears that you might get when your spouse is entering your vagina if you're not ready. It can do, you can just help a lot of times, so you're not rushed and foreplay can really happen. Okay. And the other thing is literally talk to your husband when you're feeling pain, right? Don't push him off and say, but you need to talk to him and say, this is uncomfortable for me. Let's switch or whatever. Because a lot of times we're engaging in sex, and if it's painful, it makes him understand, or makes him know that we're not really enjoying it. And it's all about communication. So you really want to talk to your spouse when you're feeling uncomfortable, right? And again, my suggestion on top of all of this stuff is go see your GYN so you can make sure what's going on with you. And that way you can have an informed conversation with your spouse as well. I found out that I have a micro tear. I found out that, I have a yeast infection that needs to be taken care of. I found out, I have, whatever it is, you can have that conversation, and he can be included in making sure that you guys are engaging, but he's accommodating you as well, right? Also, if you need to, and this is just something that I put out there and I went through my books and stuff like that, if you need to take, sometimes you need to make sure that you empty your bladder. Not sometimes, you should always make sure that you empty your bladder before you engage in sex, because that will cut down on UTIs. You want to make sure sometimes if you need to take a bath or a shower to help get your body warmed up in order before you engage in sex. And sometimes, and your doctor will tell you this, if you take like a Tylenol or a Motrin before you engage in sex, like 30 minutes before, and that's like the last thing, right? This is after you have really found out what's going on with you. That will also help with painful sex. If you have like vaginal burning or something like that, that is a red flag that you might have an STD, or you have some kind of rash or some kind of irritation going down there. To relieve that before you can get to your doctor, you want to just make sure that you put some, like a frozen ice pack on your vagina and let it cool off. Just make sure that you wrap it in a towel. Don't place the ice directly on the vagina, and it'll just help soothe it. You know, your vagina is a natural oven cleaning things. So you shouldn't have to be spraying all kind of stuff down there to make it smell good. You shouldn't have to be using all kind of washes and stuff. Water is your best friend when it comes to cleaning your vagina, because God has created us to be self-cleaning ovens. And if you are having very bad discharges, very bad smells down there, all those different kind of things that water is not being able to take care of, then you really need to go see your GYN and quick, fast, in a hurry. So my prayer is that this has been helpful to you guys, and that you guys we addressed some of the things. I hope my wife in Arkansas got something out of this. And if this is not what you wanted me to answer, I will be answering the mental part of it next week. And so I'm going to go through here. And as you guys know, that I always go back and answer all your questions. I always will reply to your whatever, even if it's a like. If you have something you want me to address here on Wife Chat, please either inbox me, send me an email, and I will be happy to address it. Again, I'm going to be hopping on Minister Deidre's her teleconference. So you guys, Deidre, if you want to post that in here so they can be joining you tonight, that would be great. I will be closing out her teleconference on Saturday at 9 p.m. I will be talking about self-control, and you guys that know me know that she is really working on them fruits of the spirit with me, with the self-control with my big mouth. But anyway, God is going to take over and make that work. I love you guys to pieces. Thank you so much for joining me here on Wife Chat, and I will see you guys. We'll talk to you guys. I'll be on the phone with you guys on Saturday. Again, if you guys have not registered for the Bringing Sexy Back to the Marriage Conference, I don't know what you're waiting for, but let me just tell you this. Friday, it will be going up. So you want to make sure that you go ahead and register before Friday. Again, the link to register is there. And if you want to save yourself some money, use BSB Gail as your discount code, BSB Gail. And I will talk to you guys on Saturday. I'm hopping on the call tonight. I love you guys to pieces. Look for Minister Deidre to post the flyer in the chat right here. And you guys hop on, because they're going to be talking about the fruits of the spirit and really how we as wives can equate that to our marriages on a daily basis. Again, I'll be talking about self-control, and I think God let her give me that, because he knows I'm working on those fruits. But anyway, I love you guys. Have an amazing night.